this it? I'm ready whenever Dylan is.
Where? We're presenting the policies.
You ready? Okay. Let's call this meeting to order. This is the Village Council Special Public Budget Meeting, February 2nd, 2026 at 5:07 p.m. Calling this meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilmember Mortimer.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Perrin.
Here.
Councilmember Whites. Here. Councilmember Winograd. Here. Mayor Vagianos has not yet arrived.
Let's all salute our flag. Do we have public comment? I don't see anyone in the audience here, and you have one? Okay.
Junior Huang.
Could you state your name and whether you're a Ridgewood resident?
Please unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, good evening, and I'm Jun Huang. I'm a resident from the Ridgewood, and I'm living in 328 Libby Avenue.
You don't have to leave your address, just that you're a resident of Ridgewood.
Yeah, I'm a resident of Ridgewood.
Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I think I had an issue with the my basement. There's a drainage issue, and every year in my basement is backflow, and there's a backflow from the city sewer system to my basement, and I had inspected the line, and they conclude that there's a issue with the city sewer system. So it happens every year because the sewer system is not working properly, and that's the cause of the issue for my house. And because my house the unique position to the sewer line, so it happens every year of the backflow to my basement. Happens to my basement every year. And also I talk to your engineering team, and Peter is my contact. And he was mentioning they think it will be in the discussion for the budget meeting. So that's why I'm enjoying the meeting.
All right. I would suggest, I'm going to close, is there anybody else on public comment? Okay, we're going to close public comment. Did anybody here want to address that?
I would. Jinyu, if you would contact me tomorrow, I will give you 2 phone numbers. One is my office phone, which is 201-670-5500, extension 2203, or my cell phone, which is 201-819-7014. We will speak to our folks in engineering and at the water pollution control facility, and we'll see if we can't revisit this issue and see if there's a solution that's available. So if you'd like to give me a call tomorrow, I'd be glad to set you up with the requisite folks to come out and take a look at that situation you described.
That was Keith Kasmark, the village manager, speaking to you. We are now up to our first item for discussion, building maintenance.
I just want to note for the record that Mayor Vagianos has arrived to the meeting.
And my apologies for running behind.
So Mayor and Deputy Mayor, through you tonight, just to set expectations, and I thank everyone for their indulgence. We did shift around the calendar for these budget hearings in light of the snowstorm that we saw last week. So tonight, we have our new village engineer, Director of Public Works, James McGrath, with us, and we are going to talk through each of the divisions that fall under Public Works. And we're going to start off tonight with Rich Charlton from our Signal Division, and he'll be discussing building maintenance and traffic signal. So if everyone would pull up the building maintenance budget. Rich, we're going to start with salaries and wages, then move to operating expenses, and then we'll talk about any capital requests you have in either of your budget areas.
I can't even find it.
Welcome, gentlemen. Always good to see you. Need to use the mic.
Here we go.
It's on the bottom.
You need someone to help you fix that? I mean,
I got it.
I can get somebody from Signal. They're really good.
I'll call him right now.
Okay.
So for the council's edification, under salaries and wages, we only have one full-time employee, one employee total, actually, who's listed in this section, and the salary that's listed here is contractual. So with that, Rich, if you want to walk us through some of the highlights on the other expenses and those line items?
You mean on the facilities themselves?
Yeah,
Okay.
on the building maintenance side.
Building maintenance is pretty much cut and dry every year. I did add somewhere between 0 and 2% per facility, as you can see. The only one that really went up, or two areas that went up, was the Village Hall. That's always seems to be a maintenance nightmare, this building, as it gets older. The HVAC is starting to show its wear for the side of the building. That's the 1, 3, and 5 side. We need constant repairs over there for the HVAC unit that's on the roof. It does both the heating and the cooling, same unit. The unit is new to the building 20-plus years ago, so that unit is ready to go. It is in my capital request to be replaced. If it doesn't make it through the capital budget to replace, I added money into this operating to possibly repair that unit maybe 2 or 3 times this year. So, but on the other note of that, PSC&G has opened up a rebate program for units of that size. And hopefully we will qualify for the rebate and the unit will get replaced for close to no money if we qualify. We won't know until probably March or April if we qualify. So I have the money in the capital budget for that. But if neither one of those pans out, I raised the Village Hall maintenance for this building based on HVAC and any upgrades that happen downstairs on the first level of the Village Hall for the community center area. The utilities down there are done. We don't have any electric down there. We don't have any more plumbing to add to down there. And the heating and air conditioning down there is terrible. So anything that happens down on that level, we are going to need to put money into just the utilities, electric, gas, and heat down there.
When you say they're done,
Yeah.
you mean they're not, oh, we're done fixing them. You mean they're done like they're toast.
In other words, there's no room to grow. We are using all the electricity
Gotcha.
we have available down there. We're using all the electricity. We cannot keep that community center properly temp, whether it's cool or heat, depending upon the season. And there's not a whole lot of plumbing down there. So anything that happens down there in the future, this year or years on, you're going to have to put money into the utilities, upgrade the utilities before you upgrade that area.
The existing utilities are fine, but you're saying to expand the utilities, we would
Yes.
need more money.
Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, and the capital ask, if we fixed it, would be 400 rather than burdening the operating?
Yes, we put in 400 in the capital. That's a high estimate.
Got it.
Keith, has that been included in the proposed capital budget?
No.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Wait, I have it.
No, I'm talking about the
The updated one?
priority ones are the only thing that made it to the working list.
Right, so I was looking, so the operating will be burdened with continual repairs, and the 2 HVC units combined would be 520. Because you have two of them, right?
I'm sorry?
You have another one also, which is emergency services.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that unit is showing its wear as well.
It's amazing how quickly 20 years goes.
Tell me.
So again, as Rich indicated, 772 is the big jump, relative to what he outlined for this building. There's a few other nominal increases. I know he felt the need to just bump up by a few $100s the solid waste collection for the bus terminal, for the bus shelter, once that's built out in the spring. We also have a minimal increase at the central garage, just based on what we're on the trajectory to have spent last year. Those are nominal increases. The Village Hall contingency, depending on capital, with regard to HVAC and other improvements here, that's the largest number you'll see in this budget.
Rich, the $400,000, is that strictly for electrical? Or is that electrical, HVAC, and
No,
other?
it's heating and air conditioning only,
Heating and air conditioning?
yes.
But you,
To replace the unit, yes.
but electrical isn't, upgrading the electrical is included in that?
Well, the electrical would be for the community center. There's no electric down there. Any upgrades down that corner of the building, we would have to bring more electric there for use.
To do that, is that included in the $400,000, or is
No.
that's in addition to that?
Yeah.
Guesstimate, what are we talking about in terms of upgrading that electric?
You're looking at 75 to 100. It depends upon how it happens. So when they did the addition, this part of the building, the newer part that's police, this is where the electric service comes in from the street. This is a different building than the 135 side. So to get the electric, because your floors are offset, to get the electric from the electrical switchgear behind the detective bureau all the way down to the front of the building in the basement is going to be a difficult task. So it's more labor intensive than anything else, just to get more electricity down there for the available use.
So somewhere down the road, we've got a $500,000 bill awaiting us.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions on building maintenance? If not, we'll move on to traffic and signal. And on this, there are some recommended adjustments on salary and wages. So if you would take a look at the by employee breakdown, 2026 salary and wage calculations up in the upper left-hand corner. And then, Rich, you want to just take us through, not necessarily by name of employee, but by some of the adjustments you want to make as far as titles go in the department?
Sure. So there are 3 members of my division that are still considered laborers by their title with civil service. And I think it's time that after 6 or 7 years that they earn a civil service title to get up above laborer to traffic signal tech 1, which is the entry level of that position. So this year coming, those 3 gentlemen are due a regular step raise from laborer or whatever step they are onto the next. So what I'm doing is I'm moving them into the next title, civil service title, traffic signal tech 1, and the raise that they get in that new title is almost the same, maybe a little more, than where they would go if they stayed in the labor or civil service group. So it's not much more of a raise. They're contractual anyway, if they just take their laborer steps, but it does give them the title. These guys have worked above and beyond call of duty this year. We did all the conduit lighting, digging for the sports lighting, and we helped tremendously with the pavilion up at Havernickle. We took a lot of labor from the contractors, did that labor in-house, and we saved an awful lot of money from paying money on contractors. These are the guys that stepped up and did this work. I just think that with just a little bit more money than the next step, that they are deserving to have a title. and not just be laborers. So,
Yeah.
yes.
And I say, I mean, all the work that they've done was just excellent. It was fast, and it was just done so professionally, so I think it makes sense.
Thank you.
And they're so helpful for the sound system on downtown for the holidays and the Daffodil Festival and Earth Day Fair in Venice Square. They're really helpful to us.
Thank you.
I also want to say, and for the public who's watching, when I first took my seat here, anything that didn't fit in a bucket from a department when I was meeting, they say, oh, Signal. Signal can do anything. You guys really make everything happen. You show up. Your crew is so excellent to work with. They're so open-minded to everything. And for me, so many of the initiatives that Evan and I ran on were made possible. And I was just saying before, we went to the high school with a member of Signal, and he just represents Ridgewood so well. So I think it's great. And I just hope the public understands like how lucky they are that you do not just many things, but you do many things well. So I just wanted to say that. And if you're watching it, and you have a new boss, I think it's just a wonderful catch-all department that does a really good job and makes a lot of things happen.
Thank you.
Rich, if you didn't notice, this council is very pro-Signal. I mean, we love all our departments equally, but Signal saves us a ton of money, and we know you could fix anything, so.
And I believe in one of the things you fixed is even heat in this room, right?
Yes.
Can we turn it down?
Rich
And
controls the temperature, don't forget
Give me a minute,
that.
I'm just going to open the window.
He's waiting to see if this gets approved before he fixes the heat, because otherwise we're going to be sweating like, you know.
And then just moving towards operating expenses, there's a reduction in line item 026 of about $7,200 for inspection services for fire alarms, extinguishers, and sprinkler systems. That's a reduction going into this year. There is a slight bump in signs and sign supplies. There's a high demand, sometimes coming
Yes.
at the request of village council members, to replace street signs, and Rich's division is working all the time to try to keep replacing fading street signs, damaged street signs, ones that are fall victim to accidents and things of that nature. So in an effort to try to keep the changeover in signage up to par, there's a slight adjustment to that line item. But other than that, it's a minimal changes, if that, to the operating expenses. I'm sorry?
Conference and meetings, spent 4,000 this year, you want 2,000
So that's 41.
Sorry. 41.
Yeah.
And I saw you cut it from, like, it looks like they asked for a lot more, and we cut them down,
So-
and now we're trying to re-put it in, so I get that, but still, if we got by with 4,000 this year, do we really need almost 5 times that for?
Councilman, are you looking at the detail?
41?
I'm looking 41.
41, okay. But are you looking at the detail list of that?
I wasn't, I was looking at
Okay.
the overall amount.
So I'll let Rich speak more to this and to what happened this year, but the traffic signal certification update class is a mandatory class. Last year and this year, we're budgeting 14,000. There's also CPWM training, that's for Rich specifically, which we're maintaining 5,000. Rich, do you just want to explain the 14,000 and who was enrolled this year and who will need, or who was enrolled last year and who would need to be enrolled this year?
Sure. So the traffic light certifications, they come up every 3 years. So if we do a certain amount of CEUs during the 3 years, you don't have to go for a recert. So that's why it goes up every 3rd year. It will go up quite a bit more than that year. If I want the guy to go and take a next class by the end of those 3 years, he gets the next level of training, and that will come up this year. So I'll probably send 4 guys this year for their next level of training. So I have 8 guys, so I send 4 1 year and skip a year and then 4 the next.
So is it safe to say that 2025 was a light year?
Yes,
Okay, and that this year you'll need the full 14,000 to do the certification?
yes.
Okay.
Well, it's money well spent. The smarter they are, the more well-trained. It's great, I think. And I did also want to just tell the anecdotal story about signs, because we have a new director here. As many of you know, when we took our seats, there was a massive sign theft, and there were like hundreds of signs missing all over town, and Signal partnered with me and the HSAs to to create a fundraiser so seniors don't steal them. And it's been a great service. It's been widely popular. I always joke with Heather, it's stopped a little bit of crime, and it's been wonderful. So I think this is great. The more that we train people, the better it is. And I know that you also have a lot of inter-village promotions that happen from your department, which is great. So, and I think the $14,000, there's no way around it, Evan. It's mandatory.
Our senior citizens are stealing signs? Jeez, it's terrible.
It is hard to distinguish when you say the seniors with PG.
Sure.
It's hard.
Any other questions on salaries and wage or other expenses for Signal? Okay, just moving to capital. So Rich, top priorities, and you can certainly talk through with the council some of the other items on your list. But I have a traffic signal sign truck replacement with a plow
Yes.
in there. And then I also have the pedestrian crossing signals to try to continue that program as well. So those are the two that I have on the top priority list, but if there's anything else you want to share with the council from your list so they have some background on it, I think that'd be great.
Pedestrian safety is always top priority, whether it's a speed radar feedback sign or the flashing pedestrian signs. So those are becoming very popular with the residents.
So how many will that get us?
So one intersection is almost, one half of one intersection is almost $10,000. So one crosswalk with one flasher on each side is almost $10,000. If you do a full intersection, which would be two crosswalks, you're looking at almost 20. So last year, I think we had 35,000. That would have maybe done two intersections.
And have we done any costs, we'll just go into operating, remember we were talking about the glitter crosswalks in front of how the post office used to shine?
Mm-hmm.
Will that be any additional expense if we try to highlight the ones in the CBD through a different paint? Did we talk about that? Do you remember, I'm gonna make fun of
could try
Pam,
it.
when we were talking about how some of the crosswalks in the central business district have the brick, which leads to charm, and it's a visual interruption, then we got into the sparkly kind of reflection of the sidewalk, and I think we wanted to see more of that, at least I did. You know, because crosswalks are just crosswalks, and when it's dark, so.
You mean the
don't
style
we-
of the
Yeah.
thermoplastic?
Well, no,
You're
back-
talking about the reflective thermoplast
yeah,
paint?
Back in the
Okay.
day, we spoke with Torino.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard it referred to
It
as
sparkles.
sparkly.
It
so-
does at night. It's like glitters at night. And look, I see everybody now they know.
Well, there was also some lights, I believe, that were put
Yes,
there.
the reflection.
No, I don't think it was a reflection. I think that, wasn't there lights that was in the pavement that was on all the time at some
I don't
point?
think so. No, I don't
I believe it
so.
was a coating.
Yeah, there are reflective beads that go down on the plastic as the plastic hardens. Those are all put in by the contractor. The paving contractor does all our crosswalks after they pave.
Okay.
We repaint. We don't do much thermoplastic. We can do little bits and pieces here, but we can't do it on the same level the contractors do. So that's all comes from engineering department. When they do repaving and restriping, the contractor comes in and does that.
So talk to me about the sign truck. 160 grand's a lot of money for it. How bad's the old one? Because I'd much rather spend that money on pedestrian safety as opposed to buying a new truck if we can.
Right, the truck's falling apart. As you ride down the road, it's just, pieces are falling off of it.
But are they
being that-
important pieces?
Important pieces, yes. And the problem is that, we have a lot of money in a sign budget, and we have a lot of sign equipment. We put out a lot of signs. That truck is specifically for putting up signs and pavement markings.
It has the thing, right? The,
Super
Has a
lift
tailgate. It has a power tailgate to get the
Yeah, the
paint
thing.
machine on and off the back.
thing.
Yeah,
And there's no way to do it for cheaper than 160 grand?
that's pretty cheap as far as way custom vehicles go.
What's the life of it, expectancy we think of a new one?
15 to 20 years.
And what's the current one at?
I think it's about 15. So we did without it for about 3 months this year, and we had to get the paint machine from the shop to the locations we needed to paint. We had to use an older truck with a too small of a tailgate, and it made a couple of safety issues for us carrying a machine like that around with gasoline in it, loaded with paint. If you have paint spillage, you have a mess all over town. So that's a very important truck. I would put the sign truck right up there with our bucket trucks as far as importance.
Rich, in what way is that pickup truck customized?
So we put a utility body on it, and then we build other things onto that utility body that carry the 12-foot signposts and the 12-foot sign poles that have to go down into the ground to keep them straight. We have a specific signpost bounder that puts the breakaway piece in,
Yep.
3.5 feet into the ground, and then the top piece gets bolted to that. That's a lot of weight. It's also very long, so the truck is longer than most others. The tailgate that lifts the paint machine on and off the ground into the back of the truck. So they drive down, they take the machine off, they quickly paint, stop bar, half of a crosswalk, put it back on the tailgate, drive 1 block down the road, get out, do the same, and they do this 2 to 3 hours a day during the summer. It's a moving process. The truck moves, kind of like you would see a garbage man on the back of a garbage truck. It's a moving process, and that's why the truck is invaluable to us that way. If we don't have that truck, we can't paint. So, then crosswalks are faded, stop bars are faded.
I think we got it.
It's important.
Council keeps changing ordinances, new signs.
Any other questions for Rich?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you,
swap
gentlemen.
in for Jim Fells and Bill Rickley from the Water Pollution Control Facility. You guys will come up.
Water Pollution Control, WPC.
It's about this for where we work.
Okay.
Dylan, hot. Dylan, Dylan.
All right, so we'll start with salaries and wages. If you look at the detail sheet of the different employees, there's no additional employees, nor, by the way, were there with Signal either. This is all contractual. There's a modest increase relative to the contractual obligations. Any questions on salaries and wages?
I do have a question because of detail 14, which is overtime, and the overtime was 95, or is proposed to be $95,000, and I see that some of the employees, their salaries are less than that, and I'm wondering if we hired another, would we have less overtime?
So the one thing I'll say is that the Water Pollution Control Facility is a 24-hour operation, 365 days a year. I'll let Jim and Bill talk more specifically to the overtime calculation, but I can tell you that I think the reason that the overtime are the numbers that are reflected in here, and it's a similar number to what we budgeted for last year, it really has to do with the 24-hour operation. But Jim, you want to take it from there?
No.
Nope. No? Try again. Oh, there it is, sorry.
Well, the overtime varies from year to year. You know, we run 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Some years we don't have a lot of sick time, some years we do. I don't know if by hiring another employee, if that would offset that overtime, you know, with the salary and everything else that goes along with it. I can't, that's an estimation of what, you know, might happen. I mean, it could be less, it could be more.
And guys, if you could just identify yourselves for the people watching.
Oh, Jim Fells, Supervisor, Water Pollution.
Thank you.
Bill Rickley, Chief Operator, Water Pollution.
And thank you all for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. So it's a moving target, basically.
Yes, sir.
And you think it's better addressed with overtime as necessary than with hiring another person?
I would think so. But again, it varies from year to year. You know, I can't tell you if things are going to break or it's going to snow a lot, like we've had, and
another person would not have helped with this last snow. Water pollution had guys out constantly, and they have to have somebody on site 24/7, as you guys know. So another employee probably would not have helped reduce the overtime that we just experienced this past storm. But as Jim said, you know, all depends on sick, vacation, all that sort of stuff. It's very variable. So keeping that overtime number at or close is probably our best bet to be as on target as we can be.
Got it.
I mean, plus you're going to have to pay benefits on any employee that you would hire, which would likely bring us pretty close to the 90,000. Plus, if our guys have the opportunity to make a little extra money, I'm not going to get in the way of that.
And you have to be competitive because these plants, these guys, nobody does this anymore. You know, coming from where I came from before and talking to Jim, it's very hard to get these operators and keep them. So the wages have to be competitive, which you may lose any advantage you have by hiring somebody.
Sure.
I just thought I'd ask. I'm
No,
not,
sure.
I'm not pitching for it.
And if we want to just move to other expenses, I will tell you that 026, that's a restorative cut. We cut a significant amount from that line item last year in order to get ourselves under cap. So that number is back in the budget as restorative from the prior year. Again, that's one area that we'll have to look at as we make modifications between now and the time the council's presented with a budget for introduction.
Yeah, and Keith, I know
Chemicals is a high number, I'm sorry.
So, and Keith, I know you're not prepared, nor am I asking you to provide it today, but certainly if it has to stay at 100,000, I mean, the sheet's a little thin in terms of detail of what that actually, that's a lot of money to spend, not just on generic maintenance. So I'll defer to you, but certainly would like a little more detail if it does stay at that high dollar amount.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll add to that is cutting this line item is always a gamble because the water pollution control facility, I think, was last upgraded, Jim, in 2005, right? So
2005. We have made some upgrades since then, but again, it's one of those things where I can't tell you if something's going to break.
Right.
You know?
And I think the way it works is if that much doesn't break, you don't spend it, and we still have the money.
Correct.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
we did cut, so it's restorative we cut it by 80,000 last year during the budget process. So, I mean, I'm fine with it, given that. Last year was a cut, so that wasn't beneficial. So if we don't carry it forward, we're cutting, it's a double cut, because you should have. So I'd like the restoration of it.
Right. And I'll be honest about this, and I'm sure Bob will opine on this as well. You know, this is an area that we would look to cut, but when you make this cut, you're crossing your fingers that you don't have a major problem down there. And then if we did, we'd be coming to the council for capital money to try to bridge that gap. So not the ideal situation. It's always better to have a little money put away, especially in a system that runs 24/7.
Yeah.
But if it needs to be cut back upon in order to get us to where we need to be with the appropriations cap, then that's what we'll do. Bob?
If we don't let them maintain it this year, we're just going to wind up putting something in the capital, and it's not cheap down there. It costs a lot of money for those bar screens and everything else that we've been putting in lately, so big nut.
Unfortunately, when things do break, it's not $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, obviously we got to keep people safe, and I want to be conservative, but ultimately this affects what we ask our residents to pay, right? So it's, I think, incumbent upon us to ask the hard questions and get details on it. And if it's prudent to spend the money, but we obviously have to ask the questions.
Sure.
I mean, you can, like you said, you can cut it and cross your fingers, and maybe nothing will happen. You know, but if something does, then we have to come back to you and say, remember that money that you thought I needed now? Because
Right, and
something
then-
broke.
Yeah, I don't think Evan's suggesting that we cut it.
Right.
He just wanted to ask the question.
Hey, Jim, why don't you talk about how it's also, your department is a revenue generator with some of the work that you do?
Yeah, we generated over $184,000 from Zudema and other septic companies, you know, this past year. I know I don't really know where that money goes, but there's a lot of money, $184,000. And it would have been more if we hadn't had the construction during the summer, you know, with the PFAS building going up, because it was just so congested. They went to Waldwick or Wanacue or somewhere else, so it would have been more.
Got it. And just for everyone's clarification, talk about that construction that's been a problem.
It wasn't really a problem. I mean, it's a building that has to go up, and
I'm sorry, I thought it was on the driveway, was the...
well, that was another one too. Yeah, that was PSE&G,
Okay.
and that lasted longer than they had told us. But again, it has to happen. So
Yeah. Now, is there a chance to increase the amount? I mean, obviously, you said that you didn't get as much because of the construction, but is there other
If we didn't have the construction last year, we would have been close, I would have think, close to 200,000,
Yeah, that's awesome.
around there, give or take. But with the construction, the bigger trucks, they pull in one day, they see the construction, they're like, oh, they go, they dump, but then they won't come back for 2 or 3 days because they don't want to deal with with the mess.
Understood.
So,
So Bob, does that go into the general fund? Okay. That's awesome, by the way. We love revenue generating. It's awesome.
We can also have further internal conversations about increasing our customer base and increasing our volume from Zudema. That's a long-term brainstorming session.
It's a
that has to
great
happen, but it's
conversation to
possible.
have.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, I like that conversation.
Anybody else?
No,
Thank you.
On
I
the,
just want to say thank you while you're here.
you're welcome.
It's much appreciated, and, the restorative cuts for me, if we can, we should try as much as we can.
And then the capital requests, Jim, if you want to just speak to this a little bit. We have a hydro sewer truck in the amount of $370,000, which was priority 1, and also priority 1B, let's say, root control in the amount of $20,000. Do you want to just talk both of those through with the council?
Sure, the hydro sewer truck is it's 2015, right? 2015, with over 6,000 hours on it. And in the last 2 years, we have jetted roughly 1.5 million feet in the village of Ridgewood as preventative maintenance. And to this point, I don't think we have had a claim that's been filed against us that's been our problem, that's been our fault. But the truck is tired, it's done, it's, on its last legs, definitely. And the root control, that's been a big help for us, and that's a necessity because if they do a certain part of town, they guarantee it for 3 years. So if there is a backup in that part of town, they're responsible for it, not us. And after those 3 years, we have to do it again, otherwise the warranty goes out. So those are really the two big things that we would like this year. The sewer truck definitely has to be replaced.
Do we sell the old one? Do we get any money out of at least starting it out?
We're going to check, and we should be able to get something for it, I would think. But it is old, and it is, it is tired. But it still works. But we've had our hose needs to be replaced. It's $25,000 to replace the hose. So we're basically working with a patched up hose, which is not really smart. We really shouldn't be doing that. But I don't want to spend $25,000 on a truck that, we might be replacing.
For 1 more year, yeah.
Exactly.
How much do you think it would take to keep it running for another year or two?
I'm not
Again,
sure.
I'm only questioning because it's
I'm not sure. I'm not a
$368,000
mechanic.
is a lot of money,
I'm not a mechanic. I know we have to fill it with antifreeze every, transmission fluid, antifreeze every 2 or 3 days. There's a lot of stuff that has to get done to it. That would be
You gotta
something I
fill it
could
with
bring up to the
transmission
mechanics and
fluid
say,
every 2 or 3 days. That's not, look, I'm not a mechanic either, but that's
Yeah.
not a good sign.
we could take it up to the mechanics and say, how much to fix this and get it, to the top. But then you have to go with the hose again. Yeah, because it gets used a lot. There's no other town around here that does what we do. They have sewer trucks, but they only go out in emergencies. They don't go out, I know Hohokus takes theirs out twice a year to do their town. Uptown, they jet it twice a year. We
borrow
we
theirs?
do ours once a month. Huh?
Can we borrow theirs?
Yeah, they usually borrow ours. But it is important. But again, 15 years ago, we used to get sewer calls 2-3 times a week with sewer backups. And you can check that. That's all in the records. And we haven't had any in a long time. So,
It would be interesting to see, I know you're new, like a shared service type agreement, if Hocus is getting so little use out of their truck. Maybe we cross the border and charge them a couple of bucks to do theirs twice a year and offset the $368,000 this new truck is going to cost us.
I think maybe one of the better approaches to this is I actually have a administrators meeting on Thursday. Maybe we reach out to some of the smaller towns because we would be the one that would be using it more. As Jim says, our schedule is much more intensive than some of our neighboring municipalities, where those who use it less frequently, who might be in need of something, maybe they could join us in this endeavor rather than us join someone else.
I have spoken to,
'Cause honestly, based on our use, I don't want to lose control of
Right.
as the primary.
I have spoken to Matt Talbot in Midland Park, because when they have certain sections of their town done once a year, and they only have certain sections done, they use Northwest Bergen, all right? And when they have a sewer backup, they use Northwest Bergen, which is where Midland Park goes to anyway. But if they have a backup in their street during the day, night, whatever, and they have to call Northwest Bergen, they get charged. And I said, you know, we could do your maintenance for you, do once, twice, 3 times a year, however it is. But if you have a sewer backup during the day, we are right next door.
Yeah.
Like, we could drive over, clear the problem for you, we're not gonna charge you.
Knowing
it's-
that, I'm more than happy to open up dialogue on Thursday with Wendy Martin, who's the administrator and the municipal clerk there, and see if there's some interest on behalf of, you know, the governing body in Midland Park.
That'd be great. And given also that we're talking only about a 10-year lifespan, maybe give some thought to a sinking fund on this one.
Understood.
All right.
So I just want to ask, is this where the beneficiary of the community block grant went in? Or is that just general engineering? Because that's a
That's general
the line
engineering.
item.
That's general engineering, yeah. I mean, it'll benefit them
Yeah.
if the lines, if the sewer lines are
Lined.
updated, but
I was
It's an
about to be
engineering
really
project.
excited about the sewer lining grant because it's the first community block grant we had, and I thought that was really cool. And you picked the oldest section of town, which is also really cool. So I was going to congratulate you on a grant, but it's more to you. So good luck with it.
No, Evan, I think that you touched on something. I mean, we've talked about shared services. We're a bigger town surrounded by smaller towns, and this is certainly, it sounds like it's an area that we can pursue and get some revenue. So we appreciate your efforts on that.
It is something, because they use Northwest Bergen, and they usually do it in the summertime, and they start, I don't know, they give them a section of town, and they'll start at like 5 o'clock in the morning and work till like 7. They'll work for 2 hours to do certain, and they'll do that for like a week straight. So the guys that are doing it are getting overtime, which they like, but they're also paying Northwest Bergen to do it. So the same thing here. A couple of our guys could get overtime, but then Ridgewood would charge them for the service.
Sounds like a win-win.
Yeah.
Good.
And being that they help us with stuff, we help them with stuff. If they do have something during the day, you know, when we're here 7 to 3 and it's 12 o'clock and they have a clock, it takes nothing for us to go over there and, you know, and take care of it in, you know, no time and just let it be, you know?
Well, it sounds like if we can, it sounds like you're going to get your truck, and if we can get some revenue out of it going forward, it's a win-win for everybody.
I agree.
So thanks, Jim.
Any other questions for water pollution control?
Just thanks for all you do.
Gentlemen?
See you this spring.
Gentlemen, thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up Mike Junta, who is the supervisor for the Fleet and Streets Division. He'll also discuss yard waste. So there'll be 3 sections, and we're going to start with Fleet.
Start with what?
Fleet. Sir.
So I'm not the chair, but I'm going to remind the chair, this is the first time we've seen you since the storm. So impressive,
Well,
so
he was in Disney.
It was such a good job, and we're so thankful, and we hope you've recovered and you're rested. And we did talk about you a lot when you were probably taking a nap, but it's our first time, and I think Paul's now going to chime in. It was just so impressive and so well done, and we're so grateful.
Guys did a great job. Staff did a really, really good job.
No, it wasn't a great job. It was an amazing job. It really, really was. Several of us took a ride around town, and we're very impressed. There was blacktop most everywhere on Monday morning, which was really amazing. So, great.
And I think I saw you driving. Mike and I were walking, and I think we were waving to you.
so, yeah,
It's like-
Mike, if you could hold the mic
Yeah.
closer, thank you.
Good enough.
And more importantly, am I reading this right that you're going down in budget?
$47.76.
I think it's even more than that. I'm still don't really, but if you look at the top, we budgeted $430,000 for salaries last year. They're asking for $418 this year. For other expenses, they're asking, last year we budgeted $532. This year they're asking for $512. Am I getting that right? Because if so, I already think very highly of you, and you're doing a wonderful job, but you just hit it out of the park if that's true.
We've been lucky. Fuel prices have come down a lot. Tire prices came down a lot because of
Right.
the fuel. We do have, sorry, we do have a few.
Oh, you don't apologize for anything. You're good.
A few newer vehicles, so the maintenance on them has gone down significantly with the new garbage trucks and
That's
the new
awesome.
trucks and streets, yeah, so. Yep.
So did I get that right, Bob? We're going down? for them?
Yes, just point out, in salaries and wages,
Right.
the budget as adopted was 406. We had to transfer money in to get it to 430. Right? 3 columns.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, the salaries and wages are contractually up 2.74%.
Right, we can't control that anyway.
Right.
But other expenses actually were going down.
Yes.
You
I wish
you
I could
had-
just give you a gold star, Mike. That's
You
awesome.
had Evan at bracket, right?
You're making Evan really happy. I don't know if you know.
I want to put his face on the side of one of the trucks now.
And
That's awesome.
one really tiny point in detail 32.
Oh, boy.
It's the same, right? Last year was $2,000 for clothing and uniforms, and this year's it's $2,000. But on the left-hand side, it says add 10% for yearly increases, and we're not doing that. I just happen to notice it. We can do whatever you want. 10% of $2,000 is not a lot. But
It's just not on the first page updated, if you want to have Livia.
Yeah, the only change in operating that's significant is 026, which again is restorative. And then 29Z is our budget credits that are coming in to offset revenue coming in from water as fleet services the water fleet in addition to the village fleet. Any questions on that part?
No, we're good.
yeah.
All right.
I think if
We're
Evan's
gonna-
good, we're all good.
We're gonna go to streets and we'll see if you have the same opinion.
So are we adding people? I thought we weren't, because it looks like it's a pretty high jump in salaries and wages.
So the salaries and wages breakdown is on the next page. We are not adding any bodies, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 employees on steps.
Okay, so this is all contractual then?
So
It's just luck of the draw.
There's every once in a while, you have a year where you have an array of employees who hit steps all at one time, and
All right.
we're looking at that in 2026. The other notable item is seasonal employees. The budget offset that we apply to seasonal employees from the snow trust is not applied to this line item as of yet, as it was last year. So that's why you saw the adjustment downward for 2025 to 65,000. Temporary and seasonal right now are at 90. Bob and I had a meeting today at 3 o'clock where we discussed how we want to allocate the snow trust in light of the significant amount of snow that we've gotten and the lack of melting, which has required us to work overnights this entire week past. So we will figure out what the allocation would be to that line item, but right now that's why you see the increase from 65 to 90.
Bob, how much is left in the trust? Like if we get another blizzard?
When we get to the end here, you'll see all the trusts, and we'll do it then, if that's okay.
Well, I'm just going to say again, everybody who works for you is always just represents you so well. And I know that people can get very intense during these storms and with leaf collection, ditto that. So thank you. It's really awesome. Sometimes I just think when the general public doesn't understand how much physical work is, it's our job to say thank you.
So I just want to talk a little bit about the leaf collection and the overtime reflected in line 014. So this year in the budget, we have a request for $200,000. Last year, we budgeted $110,000. We modified it to 126, but if you look at the actual was almost 184. And this is a direct result of some snow removal, but primarily leaf collection. And, you know, I get many phone calls from residents, from village council members, you know, asking about the frequency of leaf collection and the sections that we need to get to. Mike and his team are working beyond regular work hours. I think we start about 5 a.m. with the gear up during leaf collection. We're working essentially until it gets dark. So those folks are all working beyond their regular workday, which requires the overtime compensation. And then we're also adding Saturdays in there to try to stay ahead of it. So just understand that, you know, to get that level of service and to try to get folks out there from daybreak to sunset and also work Saturdays, these are the numbers that we're looking at in order to provide that service and continue to pick up leaves throughout the fall season. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, Mike.
Everybody good?
Well,
On salaries, yes. Other
Well,
expenses.
Mike, I have a question with the leaf, and this is more for the public watching. Occasionally, as Keith mentioned, there's a lot of calls, and people are like, we should put the leaves in the bags. If we did that, would that increase the cost, or?
Probably, yeah, because of the amount.
Can you speak it?
Sorry, probably yes, because of the amount of time for pickup, processing, and just the storage. I know we talked many years ago about bagging everything. Pallets and pallets of bags, we just don't have the capacity at the compost facility to handle all that as well.
So it would significantly increase the cost if we went to bagging?
I don't know about significantly, but yeah, I mean, right now, we just scoop them up with the machine and we go, and just keep going.
And the
With the
time period
bags.
for the guys.
Yeah, gear on and off the trucks, and, you know, we also don't have the amount of trucks to be able to do that. Garbage trucks, anyway. Yeah, sorry, garbage trucks.
I will
Good.
also
I just
say
wanted to
that-
make that noted for the public, in case it, when it comes up, I should say, this fall, so thank you.
It's also an added expense to the homeowner, and
Right.
just to represent Ridgewood, the public, most people would see that as a decline in services. They take, you know, the leaf, you know, it's a very nice service, and so if you had to bag it, that burden would be transferred to the homeowner, and Ridgewood doesn't love that.
Two things that people are very sensitive about: snow and leaves.
And trees,
And trees.
and trees.
Three things.
You might, if we stay here long enough, you might get one or two things added to that list.
So for other expenses, other contractual services went up pretty high?
Well, that's,
So 029, this is another example of where the snow trust may be applied, depending on what the balance is in the trust fund. In 2025, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong here, we budgeted $200,000 for this. This is 29. And we applied $150,000 from the snow trust.
That's
Oh,
correct.
okay, so we'll.
So we balanced at 50,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So
So
hopefully
that,
we'll see an offset here.
this is one that would get, this one would see a reduction if we applied the money from the trust.
Okay. Where's the rest of that? I'm having trouble. I mean, it's about a $250,000 jump, and I see 100,000 there. Is the rest just, I'm having trouble seeing where the difference is between last year and this year, other than that 100 grand.
Which one is that, Evan?
So I'm just looking at other expenses on this page.
Materials and supplies.
Yeah.
Seeing an increase. Last year, we budgeted 26. This year, they're requesting 40, and that's because we spent almost over $43,000 last year. So that's an adjustment based on the cost of those supplies and materials. We also had a $24,000 reduction in that line item last year, so there's a restorative element to 030 as well.
Okay, I think I see it now.
Can I ask about Municipal Services Act?
So the Municipal Services Act is what is required for the municipality to reimburse a condo association for certain costs pertaining to snow removal, street lighting, is that all we do here? And garbage collection. Although here we provide the garbage collection, so that wouldn't be a reimbursable expense. But for street lighting and snow removal, depending on the agreement that's in place with the Townhouse Association, we're responsible for reimbursing some of the expenses. And that's state law.
Was this one particular condo association, or were there several? I just don't know of a lot of condos in Ridgewood.
No, we have a lot.
We do?
Can I say their names?
Well, because I don't know who it applies to, but
Right.
if you'd like a list of who we reimburse, we can get that to you.
Yeah, well. Okay,
All right?
yep.
I think that's actually processed through the engineering division, so.
From
if
what
you-
I understand, it's processed through engineering, yeah.
Yeah, so if you could ask your office, James, to send a copy of that upstairs tomorrow.
No
We'll
problem.
send it out to the council so they know exactly what the payables were for the last few years. Right, so Olivia's pointing out that we don't do the calculation for the snow removal until the end of snow season, so that'll be reflective in
So
the,
June this year.
don't say that, Councilman. Any other questions on streets? Okay, and Mike, we'll do yard waste and then we'll do all your capital together, how's that? Okay, so in yard waste recycling, you'll see salaries and wages section. That number has been dramatically reduced because now we're down to one employee, Mike?
Correct.
You want to just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have one employee in in Lakeview. We used to have two in there. To have two there every day was just a waste, so we removed one out of Lakeview. So we're just down to one down there. If something needs to be filled in, we will bring a part-time employee in to help.
And that's why you see the increase on 013 on the part-time salaries, because we broke that down to be able to get more bodies down there. And you'll see the reduction in the full-time salaries. And then overtime remains stagnant, and the delta is a few $1,000s relative to the adjustment from full-time to part-time. Other expenses,
Another reduction.
029 is probably the most notable.
So I have a question about that. I'm looking at the 2025 modified. Oh, no, sorry. 2025 actual was, nope.
So Mayor,
My
so
question's
Mayor,
answered.
I'll walk you through it.
No, I got it.
Okay.
I'm good. No, not necessary. I got it. It's good.
Yeah, so we didn't pay out in the full-time, we paid out in the part-time.
Yep, you paid out
Yeah, it
basically
was
one-
budgeted for 2 employees.
Right.
We ended up at some point in the year with 1 employee, and the balance was billed to the part-time salary, which was, by view of this, underfunded, but it was actually funded in the full-time line item.
All right, so let me look at this again. So our 2025 actual was 82 full-time, 61 part-time, so that's 143. And now we've taken away a full-time, and our full-time and part-time together is 160. So how does that work? How did we save money on that?
Well, one, a healthcare package.
Okay?
And the way we did the calculation for the part-time was based on the number of bodies that Michael projects that he needs down there. And again, it says part-time, but it's really more seasonal help, right? For that time of year when we're doing the yard waste. So that 61, based on what we would need to pay for a full complement of part-time employees this year to supplement the yard waste pickup, that's how we achieve that number of the 74.
Okay.
Any other questions on other expenses for yard waste?
No?
It's actually a reduction, so. All right. And then, Mike, on your capital, couple requests here. Just find you. So on the fleet side, you're looking for a crane service truck in the amount of $38,000. And streets, you are looking to replace the street sweeper in the amount of $336,000. Do you want to talk about both of those? And then when it comes to the street sweeper, if you could focus on the DEP requirements relative to that, that'd be great.
Yes, we did switch the fleet from the service crane to the lift. That's inoperable, so we do have to change that.
So I have
Wait,
38 for the service of the truck and 27 for the gate.
So let's just go back to the lift. So we're swapping the crane for the lift, and the total for the lift is what, Mike?
I think it was 42,
42.
47.
47.
Thank you.
Okay, so the crane service truck would get bumped for the lift at the garage,
Correct,
and the lift cost would be $47,800.
correct.
And then you want to talk a little bit about the sweeper?
Yes, so the current street sweeper that we have is a 2014. We found this year, just before leaf season, the whole interior insides of it is rotted out. I actually had a mechanic run it this year for leaf season, just to make sure we made it through the season. It's not going to make another season. We're looking at about $90,000 in repairs, and that's on a hope that we continue to keep going with it. We did look at a diesel one and an electric one. Demoed both of them. Our staff really liked the electric one, but the cost of the electric one is $721, $749 compared to $335 for the diesel. And with the electric, we're limited to 10 hours. With the 10 hours, that's no HVAC running, no lights running. It's 10 hours and that's it.
And Michael, could you just run us through the DEP requirements relative to this machine?
Yeah, so we have to sweep every street at least a minimum of 3 years. 3 times per year, in order to keep our tier rating with the DEP permits for the stormwater collection. So we have that, and also obviously leaf season, they're used every day from 5 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night. Sometimes, 6, 7 o'clock at night. But then it'll also go out for emergencies. When we're done with leaf season, if there's an accident or somewhere in town, we have to clean up. We have to go take care of that too, so.
And Michael, how do we exceed that 3 times per year, generally speaking?
We do, yeah, definitely. I would say probably, at least every street gets swept leaf season 3 times. We probably hit every street 6 or 7 times throughout the year.
Wow.
Any questions about either of those 2 requests? And just, Mike, real quick, just so the council's aware, just update us on the switch to the lift and how that came about and what that would get us if they were to fund that project.
Yeah, so shortly after we went through the process at Capitol, one of the lifts stopped working. It's an underground frame lift that picks the police cars up, trucks up to 14,000 pounds. When the mechanic was under it, it started dropping till the safeties grabbed it, and we had the service company come out and they said it's beyond repair. It's, I think, from the early 1980s was when it was installed. And unfortunately, it's one of those ones that everything is underground, so it's almost impossible to pick up on problems until they present themselves. And definitely need another lift, because right now we're just down to one in our lower garage that services most of the police vehicles.
And nobody's getting under that one.
No, yeah, that's out of service. Yeah.
Nope, I think it's time.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Junta? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Again,
much,
great
Mike.
job with the
Thank you.
snowstorm.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You and all the divisions under Public Works and Parks, you guys did a great job. Okay, Mr. McGrath, pivot to engineering, and then Bob's going to take us through the utilities budget, but we'll start with engineering.
I will say that I spent so much time with these gentlemen that I didn't even look at my own budget, so I'm going to ask for some assistance tonight.
So the one thing I'll say on salaries and wages, and Olivia, feel free to jump in here, but with the retirement of Mr. Rudishauser, his total in the salary detail for each employee has been prorated. And Mr. McGrath has been added to that roster. So I want to point that out. I'll also just note to the council, when you look at line item 01Z, which is the last line item in salaries and wages, there is a credit there. That credit is due to the capital outlay that engineering puts into all of our capital projects. We do offset some of the salary number with monies from the capital bond ordinances because they support the engineering projects that our in-house engineering division are working on. So that's a brief summary of the S&W budget. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm focused on the overtime and the uncompensated time. That seems to be where we're getting killed here. What is that?
So Bob, do you want to speak to that?
So the uncompensated time would be termination pay
Okay.
when someone leaves, and someone that's been here for quite some time.
Oh, and since we had a senior employee leave, that's what we're owing them on the way out?
Correct.
Is that like sick leave, or is that,
Yes, sir. Sick leave and vacation time.
and is that not capped anymore, or was that grandfathered in?
Depends on how long you've been here.
Right. So now it's capped at 15,000 if you were hired 20 years ago.
Gotcha, so we're having to pay
You're
out under the
still
old
under
rules.
So as people retire, we reduce our number of
Right, but
employees who
going
are
forward-
entitled to full payouts or partial payouts rather than the 15,000 cap, which is state law.
Right, but going forward, we have to honor what people were hired at, but going forward, we're not going to have
Correct.
to pay out six figures when people decide to retire.
Correct.
So most of that 105,000 was from the time when that employee was here before the $15,000 cap was instituted.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay.
And then on the overtime line item, we did cut that last year by 20,000. That was one of the adjustments made before budget introduction in 2025. So that is a restorative cut. Some of those items in that line item are FEMA reimbursable, and we're still working on some of those. As a matter of fact, we met with Jovan and James the other day to talk that through. But keep in mind that our engineering division does do oversight of all our construction projects. Very often, the contractors out there beyond their regular workday, and we have to make provisions to make sure that we have the proper supervision during these projects. James, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that.
No, I mean, we're here for 8 hours a day. Contractors in the summer are here for 10, 12 hours a day. And if we want proper oversight, one of our guys has to be out there. Unless we want that to change, but I don't think we want that to change.
Nope.
And then-
And I do have, sorry, Keith, I do have some ideas that I would like to discuss
Please.
at a meeting some other time. Just kicking around some ideas.
Sure.
And
New eyes can see new things.
And by all means, if anyone has anything they want to talk about under other expenses,
It looks pretty flat.
glad to have that discussion, but as the councilman points out, it's relatively flat on the O&E side.
Anybody else?
Nope. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, and James, if you'll just stay while we talk about utilities, and Bob's going to walk us through that section.
On the utilities overall, it's slightly down, but there is some movement this year that we might be able to reduce the petrol. Our final bills have not come in from 2025, so that's going to go up a little bit. And I think when I worked with Chris on doing this, he's always cautious about the increase in gasoline and how that's moving. So right now it's stable, but I think for the most part, we have some latitude there to work with. All the other ones are pretty consistent with what we budgeted. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take one.
Yeah, this whole budget, for the first time since I've been with the village, is relatively flat.
Yeah.
We've seen some significant spikes on this spreadsheet in the first 2 years that I've been here, and even before that. So this is one area this is one bright side of our budget picture this year, is preparing for utility costs.
No, see, this is about as flat as it gets, so, yeah.
Yeah. Any questions on that?
Good.
Nope.
Okay. Mayor, Jeremy's scheduled next. He's not here yet. So we can move to 10 and below. We can take a break and pick up when Jeremy arrives, and then take you through 10 through 17, which will be a relatively quick overview.
Good? So,
Take a break or keep going?
take a break.
Okay.
I think it's a good time. Okay, good.
is.
That was shedding like my sweater.
Pretty good.
Yep.
And we're back.
Okay, let me just do a roll call. Councilmember Mortimer, Deputy Mayor Perrin. Here. Councilmember Weeds.
Here.
Councilmember Winograd. Here. And Mayor Vagianos.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, we're going to move on to emergency management. So Director Kleinman is with us tonight.
Welcome, Jeremy.
So if you'll take a look at the salaries and wages section of the OEM budget, essentially it's flat from last year to this year. Jumping into the other expenses category, Jeremy, you want to take us through the highlights on that one there?
Yeah, that's,
He's going to throw this ball right back across the room right now. So I'll speak to 023. So 023, since I arrived here and was absolutely incredibly impressed with the OEM handbook that Jeremy created a number of years ago and has subsequently updated, that is a resource for residents. Each year that we've put the budget together, we've had a conversation about printing those books and mailing them to each residential household in the village. This is a want, not a need, but I asked Jeremy and Bob to incorporate this in here until we have a full assessment of where we are relative to the appropriations cap, understanding that if this doesn't make the cut, it will be drawn out, and we'll take a look at it for next year.
What's in that document?
Oh, it's the most comprehensive residential Office of Emergency Management plan I've ever seen. So Jeremy, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It's basically a emergency preparedness 101 handbook for residents, right? And so it's got all kinds of information in it. What you need to do if you should shelter in place. If you need to put together a grab-and-go kit because you need to evacuate in the case of a disaster, what should be in it. All kinds of information on weather emergencies. If there's a power outage, what to do. Don't put a generator indoors in your garage. All this kind of stuff, as well as resources, links and phone numbers for FEMA, the Red Cross, PSC&G, all this kind of stuff. So it's a nice sort of color, glossy handbook for residents.
It's 28 pages long. It is published on the website. We've had Carol included in the weekly update from time to time throughout the year. I'll send the council members an email with a link to it so you can take a look at it. And again, it's something that I have always hoped to do since coming to Ridgewood. I'm not sure that, depending on budget, we'll be able to do it, but I wanted to include it in here.
We did print hard copies of it several years ago. We may still have some. And we had financial support from, I think, the Access Group at that time, if I remember correctly, or some external group. And we made them available, in the lobby of Village Hall, or people requested them, this kind of thing. But we never did a mass mailing to every resident.
I like the idea of giving it to residents. My concern is if we just mail it out, how many people might not realize what they are and just throw it away. So I'd like to, Keith, maybe that we work with Carol to figure out a way to launch it so people expect it and understand its worth before we would mail it out.
Yeah, as I said, we've sent this out a number of times in the weekly update. We can certainly continue to do that.
No, I'm just saying, we print the print copies.
Oh, you're saying warn them that it's coming?
Right, and just so they understand the importance
Alert
of it, because
people.
what you're saying is great, especially to have numbers, and if you're going to shelter in place, what to do. And it's kind of like the old thing that if you give something away for free, it's not as valuable as if you charge a couple of dollars for it, then people see the value. And I'm not suggesting we charge for it, but if we could do something that kind of...
Sort of a campaign to build up, people aware that it's going to be coming.
What is the plan? First of all, how many copies are we looking at, and what's the plan for distribution?
So I don't have the exact number of residential households in front of me, but Carol got the quote for Jeremy for the budget. So we go to every residential household.
So for 11,
and it would be mailed.
That seems light.
So for $11,000, this is going to go to 8,000 households?
She did the math, yeah. And based on the calendar, it's
Yeah, I think the
probably,
calendar,
it's probably
right.
comparable to the size of
terms
the
of
calendar.
size, yeah.
And you're going to, I mean, the plan is to mail them? I'm just curious, because I didn't think you could do
Yes.
that for $11,000. So.
Yes.
So without making it like too much of a work session, I think the idea of it's great. I think we could amp it up and the awareness in different ways. I think we should focus, Keith, on getting it out to the Residential Flood Advisory Committee. That'd be like a good target audience. I also had a discussion with Carol about communications that I think we need to do, not in a critical way, a better job with new. Like a new resident would find this very interesting. So we were talking about, some partnership with the real estate broker. So I love the concept. To Frank's point, I think a lot of longevity people wouldn't be as interested unless you're in the flood zone. But I think if we could start by circulating it with some of the people, like residential flood should definitely have a copy of this, probably Green Ridgewood as well, Pam, because flooding is probably a big emergency that at
Well, and
least
that
I
could
worry
be
about
part
a
of
lot.
the campaign, like, that's what I'm saying. like,
Yeah,
we should
yeah.
just have a plan as opposed to just
Well,
mailing.
I think-
Yeah.
I just shared the link with the full council by email, so if you want to share it with your respective committees, I think that's a great start to this.
Yeah, I think Carol can spend a few newsletters amping this thing up so that when it arrives, people are looking for it.
And the other thing is
And
when,
again, this is all contingent upon where we are with the appropriations cap, whether this even makes the budget or makes the cutting room floor, so.
well, again, just even if we had all the money, I think the print, it's a great idea, it's a lot, and it does seem kind of light, like political mailers are a big bulk of everyone's campaign. That's like a great price for sending a lot of mail out. But I think there's other ways to do it. I'd love to be helpful in helping, and I think the environmental groups are good places to start. Particularly, we do now, this year is the first year we've had a residential flood advisory committee, so those people on those committees have access to the people in their neighborhoods that are most likely to be affected, which is like great direct access.
Let's hope it makes the cut, and let's hope that this number is right.
And even if it makes the cut, we can still amplify it online.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And then moving down the list, 029 and 030 are both restorative cuts. We made some moderate cuts there last year, and looking to try to restore those to prior year funding levels. And again, we'll see as we refine this thing. Jeremy, you have
Let me
anything you
just
want to
say,
add on those two?
Yeah, so, they are both restorative. 030 in particular, that was completely zeroed out after the budget was passed last year. So that was problematic for us because materials and supplies is sort of like the main, category. We need to buy equipment, we need to buy supplies, et cetera. So, yeah, those are restorative. So they look like they're huge jumps, but they're really not. That kind of puts us back to where we were in last year's request. And I was very judicious this year, very, very conscious of, keeping everything flat. So where I needed to increase an account for one reason or another, I cut somewhere else. So, you'll see, for example, 036, not a big point, office supplies, but, cut that a little bit. Training is restorative as well. And I'm requesting actually slightly less than last year. And the other items are essentially flat. The one thing I will comment on is 098, miscellaneous. That's a plug item we usually have for things like if we have, a declared state of emergency and we have to, either buy supplies or food provisions, whatever, for village employees. And over the years, you can see 2 years ago it was 1,500. Last year was 1,000. This year, 2,000. I can tell you that as of yesterday, because I just received the last invoice from last week's storm, we've already blown through that and spent $2,132.75 to feed people from streets and public safety and so on. So that's, that's already spent. So that looks like it's a little bit of a jump from last year. But it's,
We're already in the red on it.
we're already in the red. I mean, look, you can't predict. Hopefully we never need to use that. But you know what? if we have one more snowstorm, we have, a hurricane in the fall, and we have a flooding event in the summer, and extended operational periods, and people are, need to be fed. That's-
And I hate to say
I'm
this,
going to
but
be coming back to you,
If
asking
we're,
for
if
an
we're
emergency
already, if
appropriation.
we're already over in February, maybe we should add something to that. And again, nobody wants to, but it looks like there's a decent chance we'll be further over than $132. So I leave that to administration.
Understood. Any other questions for Jeremy on the operating budget? The other issue, or the other item is the capital budget. We had slated in here $120,000 for the EOC. I know, Jeremy, you were waiting for a proposal.
Yes. Yeah, we have the proposal from the architect. So that
EOC mean?
that appropriation would round out.
So based on the proposal that you received from the architect, because that's where we left it off with the council discussions last time, this plus last year's capital appropriation would get you to where you need to be.
Correct.
What is EOC?
Emergency operations.
The Emergency Operations Center on Douglas Place.
Thank you.
And remind me, what are we doing? I know we're taking walls down and stuff.
Jerry, you want to give a description of what the architect proposed?
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
project?
Nothing really structural. We're taking walls down. So in the front of that building, there's an operations room. There are a few offices. There's a corridor. Yeah, we're going to rip all that out, wall that off, and basically have one big secure room. That will do double duty as emergency operations center. It could also be used for a training room, really a multi-purpose room, similar to the conference room in the police department, but it'll be bigger and it'll be secure. And then the other piece of it is, since we're losing the office space, we're going to move that to another section in the back of the building and build out some offices. It's really just framing out some walls, so no major structural changes, but this will include the preliminary pricing we have will include all the technology that's going to be required. So it's going to be, computers, moving radio equipment, flat screens, so we can run an event from inside the room.
Good. Other questions?
Questions for Jeremy? All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you all. In the middle of binging on Yellowstone, so thank you for getting that here so quickly so I can get back to it.
Make sure you go to the prequels after you're done with
I did that
Yellowstone.
first.
Okay.
1883 and
1923?
yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I did. Cowboy boots and a Stetson last week. Not really it.
Was that under the miscellaneous?
Have a good night, Jeremy.
So, Mayor, as I think I've mentioned to all the council members at one point or another individually, this capital budget is a work in progress, to say the least. Just to give you a few milestone dates, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, the second round of bids will come in and be opened by the engineering department for the Shedler project for the soil remediation. So more to come on the result of that bid. And then on Wednesday morning, we will be meeting with all of the department heads to sift through all of the many requests that they made during this string of budget hearings where they made individual requests for capital appropriations for each of their respective departments or divisions. So I'm hoping that through the next day or two, we'll be able to refine the priorities of each of the department directors and the division supervisors, and we'll be able to recommend a full capital budget to you a week from tonight at the budget meeting on February 9th. That is our intention. So we'll go through, we'll have a recommendation for you, we'll go through each item, talk through the merits of it, talk through what the discussion was on Wednesday morning, in addition to how it's affected by anything that we need to do with Shedler, and then we will move forward from there as it pertains to the capital funding. Bob, you have anything you want to add on that?
So
attempt to keep this at $7.5 million where possible. But we still have some carryovers from last year that are going to impact what we have for this year. But all the departments know where we're going with this, so they're all on board.
Thank you. I know it's a tough capital year. So.
Absolutely. So the next item on the agenda is debt service. And while Bob and his team in finance are finalizing the debt service calculations for the 2026 budget, he can give you a brief synopsis as to where we are relative to bonds and interest and short-term preliminary information about bonds and bond interest and short-term notes and where we stand on that. Bob?
Sure. So debt service is up a little over 10% this year. That's a result of two sales that we had in 2025. One was for bonds, and the debt service on the bonds did not kick in until this year. And the other was for notes, and we have about $25 million in notes that we're paying interest on for this year. So that's the reason for the increase in the interest number on the bond anticipation notes.
And what's our process for the rest of the week to get us where we need to be to make a final presentation on that for Monday?
So, I'll fine tune exactly the comparison over the last 3 years, for example, just to see where we are and what our projection is going forward.
Any questions on that?
Sounds like more to come.
Next item is deferred charges, statutory expenditures, and shared service agreements. And I believe there was a spreadsheet that was provided to you, which outlines the shared services agreements that we have. So I'll let Bob handle that as well.
Sure. As soon as I get to it. Right. So,
Which are we doing first?
so we, shared services?
Okay.
So in the shared services, I broke it down between what we're receiving under these agreements and what we're paying out. So a total for the year, for 2025, we received $336,000 under shared services, and that would be health, the police, the Board of Education, water utilities, the special assessment, and that's an animal of its own. And tax assessor and public works is what we're estimating for this year. And the payout that we had last year was approximately $1 million. The big chunk of that was the consolidated dispatch of over $800,000.
The next column on the right is what we've paid relative to shared services to other communities or government agencies.
So on municipal court, we pay Glen Rock $57,000. The Northwest Bergen Utilities Authority is $28,006, and the Passaic Valley Sewer Commission is $89,000.
Just out of curiosity, I thought that it was our municipal court and they paid us. No?
No,
They fund as the judge?
judge is different. This is for the staff.
So the payee is Glen Rock, and we contribute, as does Wyckoff.
Right?
It is somewhat convoluted because who compensates what employee doesn't necessarily align with where that employee sits for a full workday. We revisited this last year. It still makes financial sense than each of the three municipalities having their own municipal court. It makes financial sense to do this, and the 57,292 is primarily to cover salaries of employees who work for the other agencies.
So there are 3 judges for the 3 towns.
There are the same judge and prosecutor sit in Glen Rock, a different judge and a different prosecutor sit in Wyckoff. The judge and the prosecutor don't pertain to the agreement. This is strictly the administrative office of the courts.
No, I'm just curious.
And
Is-
the public
is-
defender, right?
Is
No,
they
the public
fund
defender's
the
separate,
judge in any other
Glen Rock.
municipalities? In Glen Rock.
And Mark Fierro's in Glen Rock as well as the prosecutor.
Got it. Now I am beginning to
Yeah,
understand.
Wyckoff has a different judge and a different prosecutor.
Got it.
All right?
Thank you.
All right. Any questions on shared services? Any other thing further? Statutory? No? Okay. Revenues in the current fund. We are in the final stretch of finalizing our revenues from 2025 and determining how they are going to apply to 2026. But one area I do want to focus on tonight are our insurance costs. So if you would move to the insurance section of the budget. And obviously, this is significantly impactful heading into this year's budget in light of the introduction of the difference card and how this pertains to our health insurance and our group insurance rates. What I can tell you, just in synopsis, and then I'll have Bob take you a little further through. If you go down to the section entitled Group Insurance, it is page 4 on the PDF.
Wait, I'm lost.
Oh, yep, okay.
Okay.
Was this in the document, in the section of documents you supplemented us with?
It's under insurance.
You got it tonight.
Today.
Yeah, it was on the desk tonight.
Okay.
Do
Give
you
me a
want to look
second.
on?
Yeah, I'll look.
Okay, so just a few highlights here. First, it should be noted that if the village did nothing as it pertains to group health insurance, and we stayed with the majority of our employees on Direct 10, which is essentially the premium plan with state health benefits, balance of them on the Aetna plan, we would have seen an increase of $3 million between last year's state health benefits costs to this year's state health benefits plan costs. So introducing the difference card, which we ran a sprint back in October, trying to introduce the concept to our employees and having them make essentially a snap decision in probably a 2-week period before Halloween. 178 of our employees moved over to the high deductible plan, tied to the difference card, which covers all of their out-of-pocket copays and deductibles. And by doing that, we were able to bring that increase down from 3 million to 1.1 million. And I think when we were having discussions about this and we spoke to the council about it, Brown & Brown, our risk manager, estimated about a $900,000 increase. The reason it's 1.1 is there's a $162,000 administration fee that we pay to the difference card to administer their services and also be a support system for our employees. So between 8 in the morning and 11 at night, Monday through Friday, if an employee has an issue that they need support on in paying a doctor's bill or checking with Horizon or checking with Aetna with regard to what their coverage amounts are and how the difference card can be utilized, they have that embedded support, and that's what constitutes the administrative fee, in addition to processing all the payments that go through the difference card for either out-of-pocket expenses, copays, or deductibles. So that's how we got to that number. What I think is very important, and if you look at line item 154, which is the retiree premiums, the difference card does not pertain to retirees. We've opened up some discussion. It is not commonplace in municipal government for the difference card to cover retirees because they're scattered all over the place, and it's hard to manage people who are not reporting to work every day and who you have a level of accountability with. So you will notice that for our retiree premiums, there was a 32.1% increase between last year and this year, and that's not something that we could effectuate during the open enrollment period last year. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those things, and Bob, if you have anything to add on the insurance costs, feel free.
Just to go through the other two items here on this, on the summary sheet.
Actually, Bob, can I ask about this before we're going to move on?
Sure.
So Keith, I'm just not quite following. So modified 2025 budget was 7.5. This year it's 10. So that's an increase of $2.5 million.
So again, the library's broken out separately. Keep in mind, it does not include dental, does not include vision.
And
then the retiree premiums are the big spike. You're going from $3 million up to $4 million. $1 million increase just in the retirees.
Just in retirees.
Yeah.
So we're going up $2.5 million overall on insurance.
And it could have been worse.
Yeah, that's my question. How
It
much
would
worse
have, it would have been worse. It could have been. It would have been.
Another $2 million.
Another $2 million on top of the $2.5 we're already paying.
Correct.
Can we get the retirees to sign up for the difference card?
It's going to be, right now, the answer is no. Now, what we are looking to do is keep in mind, some retirees, depending on terms of service, are not eligible for lifetime health benefits. So that number does over time dwindle. But the issue is your current retirees, or those who are close to retirement, who will be afforded after 23 years of service to the village, 25 years of service in the system, they would be eligible. But right now, the difference card really can't be extended to the retiree program.
And is there any talk of assistance from Trenton coming on fixing this disaster?
Listen, I'm hearing all kinds of rumors coming from Trenton. I heard that, they're only going to hold the rate until June 30th. I have no idea what that means for the second half of the year, and none of us have a crystal ball to predict that. The other thing that I've heard is that if the rates change in June, or in July, I should say, they may offer a spring open enrollment, which is completely unique. So really, at this point, we don't have any new direction from where the state's going to go. I think the new administration's taking hold down there, and hopefully by the spring, we'll have some better idea if there is any type of course correction when it comes to state health benefits going into next year.
Yeah, listen, I mean, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever, this is just a colossal mismanagement. I mean, the fact that we're celebrating only $2.5 million for the same insurance that we're giving to our people now, and I give you all the credit in the world for mitigating that with the difference card, this is unconscionable. So much is talked about the rising cost of energy. Nobody's paying attention to stuff like this because it goes into the back door for what we're going to have to charge our citizens on taxes. It's really abhorrent.
Yeah, the trouble with this is I think they realize down at the state that the bubble's going to burst if they don't make some significant changes to this. So while it might not be in the headlines, I think there's certainly an urgency to this. I think I circulated an article out of the League of Municipalities magazine last week to the members of the council, just so you could see what one of my fellow administrators in Oakland wrote about this topic. But they're going to have to do something. I mean, the issue is that during the last increase, which you all experienced back in 2023 before I arrived here, I think there was a 23% increase that year. And what happened was a lot of the municipalities and other government agencies who were in state health benefits at that time and had decent claims history, they got out then.
Yeah, they fled. They got a better deal and we're stuck with the higher premiums.
They went to health insurance funds. Some of them became self-funded. They had the capital to be able to do that. And what it left were municipalities with mediocre, which is where we are. We have decent but not terrible claims data, to poor claims data from other government agencies, and you have this pool of an unhealthy fund, of high risk enrollees, and that's where we are. And where we are is health insurance funds, group health insurance funds in North Jersey aren't even looking at taking in new folks because of the claims data. And it's a very tough situation, but I think Trenton does realize that the bubble is going to burst, and they're going to have to make some decisions in the next few months about how this is going to move forward.
Well, I'd certainly encourage you to redouble any efforts we can in that regard. The fact that we're fighting with some of our people over a $200,000, $300,000 truck And we've got a $2.5 million, again, could have been $4.5 million increase that we basically just have to take because we've got to give healthcare to our people. Again, this should fire people up. This should get, if people are watching this, they should be angry at this. And it gets very little attention, and really just, and again, I'll get off my high horse in a second. It just bothers me to no end.
Any other questions
I
on
will-
the health insurance?
I will emphasize Evan's point that the administration did an incredible job when things were looking very dire to come up with this wonderfully creative solution that, by the way, does not diminish the coverage or out-of-pocket expenses of our staff. So I think that's terrific. And I am hopeful, and look, this is a national issue. I mean, the federal government has had major issues with this. So this isn't Ridgewood or New Jersey centric, it's everywhere. Right. Meantime, I am hopeful that, look, I think you guys did a great job in getting 178 employees signed up in 2 weeks. I am really hopeful, I'm really hopeful that by next year, if nothing else changes, that number increases dramatically.
Right. And I will tell you this, I mean, it was a 3-week runway, it was not an easy task, but it wasn't just us. The buy-in that we received from the union leadership, because, municipalities have tried this before this 36.5% increase, and the unions, put their hand up and said, thank you, but no thank you. But, when the 36.5% increase was hitting the employee contributions just as hard as it was going to hit the municipal budget, it caught attention. And to the union leadership, throughout the village, we have 7 collective bargaining units. All of them were on board. And I have to say, the FMBA was on board even before this became a thing. They were advocating.
Well, that's because
to
this
move to
saves them money, too.
Absolutely. It saves them
money.
Saves their Chapter 78 costs, 100%. So again, credit to the staff and Bob and his team who really helped facilitate this. But we owe some thanks to the union officials in the 7 bargaining units here in Ridgewood because they were on board and willing to make this happen with us.
I just want to echo the obvious and say that within our control, we could still onboard more, like as an inspiration. We also have the library, which is an opportunity for us. And I just also want to say to Paul and everybody in the Wellness Challenge, those are great things too. The healthier and happier our staff is, the better it is for these healthcare costs. So thank you to Dawn and everybody. And, outside of what occurs at the state level, I still think there's more room here and more opportunity. And that also comes with lots of gratitude for what you saved us this year. But those programs are really beneficial, and most especially to our staff, because, things that you guys have done in terms of wellness really matter when people come to work. And clearly you're all working here, so hopefully they're meaningful to you, but Dawn did a really good job with it.
Look, and that is Dawn and her team, and I was grateful that they just included me in their effort. But look, at the end of the day, wellness saves a lot more than money. So we're good. Let's go.
So I think Bob wants to take you through the other summary sheets.
Sure.
On the other insurance and on the workman's comp.
So the other insurance is about a 5% increase over the prior year, the big. I'm sorry.
This is the insurance summary. And it's,
Other insurance?
The second page behind that is other insurance.
You good? Yeah. So the other insurance is up about 5% over last year. That's primarily from increase in the joint insurance fund, 7% overall. So that gets you to the $1,230,000. And then the last one is the workers' comp insurance. And that's slightly down from last year. Good thing. So that's down about 7% from last year.
Questions, anybody? Good.
Okay, the next is the salary accumulated leave.
Yeah, so that's part of the trust.
Okay. So actually, we'll skip that until we get down to 17. Staffing levels, as we talked about throughout these budget hearings, There is only a net increase of 3 part-time positions between last year and this year, and those are accounted for with the discussion we had at the last council meeting, where we're adding 3 employees to the community center as part of the agreement that we have with Ridgecrest to provide the upgrades to the lower level of this building. And again, I just want to stress to the council that I've had conversations with every director with regard to onboarding new employees. They are going to need to justify that the new employee, as we talked about with the Parks Department, is going to need to be full-time. And if there's an opportunity to go to full-time, to part-time, in light of the fact that we will not have to provide health benefits to those individuals, we are certainly going to have those conversations as we scrutinize each and every hire from here forward.
Thank you for that. And I do, again, continue to support the 3 new heads, 3 new people for the senior citizen, given the grant money we get. That's a good investment. But I want to just echo what you said, given the conversation we just had over healthcare, that certainly as we have people that leave, and again, I'm not saying push people out, as we have people leave, there'd be some very serious discussions about whether we need to backfill that person or if we can find creative ways to cover that person's responsibility. And if we do need to cover them, can we do it with a part-timer to avoid some of these really, really awful costs that we're having to incur?
Well, I
And I
will
would
tell
just
you that-
remind everyone watching, the population of the village has stayed fairly stable over the last few years. So it's hard for me to understand why we'd have to add people. So I'm happy to hear that we're staying static, because that to me sounds right.
So when the community center agreement first came to the table, there was ample discussion about the need for one of those 3 employees to be full-time. And we held the line. And we talked to Nancy and we talked to Gwen. And when they went back and they had further conversation with Ridgecrest, we explained the challenges that we're having here, and we were able to move that to 3 part-time positions rather than 1 full-time position and 2 part-time positions. So that's the direction that we're heading in when it comes to this.
Glad to hear it.
Surplus and current fund.
I just want to say, like, clearly we don't want headcount to get out of control, but some of the positions, as we've seen, really do warrant full-time employees, like specialties. When I first came on here, we were low on police, which the public did not like. So I'm feeling good about the levels, but I also feel that in parks, we still have some specialty positions empty. And I do want to say with the 3 part-timers, that was from the rally cry from our commitment to aging in place, and I'm happy they're part-time. But we really, as we begin to do more, we need people. And often what we want to do to complete our initiatives are special positions. So I hope we get our head count filled, particularly in parks. I know Trees is suffering right now. I'd love to see that. And I don't think it's the worst thing to onboard. When someone leaves, quite often they need to be replaced. Police, fire, and we saw that. We were down police when we first got here. So I just want to say that I'm fully supportive of the plan. I appreciate the flatness, but I think we need to be realistic with the public that we can't take a specialty position and make it part-time, especially when it's sat vacant for like 2 years.
And then the last item is our trust fund balances. So Bob's going to run us through each of those.
So we put together the activity for the trust funds between 12/31/24 and 12/31/25. There are some funds in here, trust funds that are critical to how we budget. So for example, the recycling trust, storm recovery, and terminal leave all may impact how we budget this year. In the storm recovery, we have a balance at 12/31, but obviously we're eating into that with the way we're proceeding so far through January. So that's going to impact the amount of trust that may be available to help us support the budget. The same goes for recycling and for terminal leave. Any questions on the activity or what the trust represents?
So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, we were talking about the snow trust, and this also goes back to the prior budget meeting. We were talking about expenses for affordable housing. That last line item there, we have a pretty healthy surplus when it comes to affordable housing. Some of our professional services will be billed to that rather than to the current fund. So that is an adjustment that we will need to make in the budget as we put the final document together. Again, as we talk to Public Works and we start to make some decisions about how we're going to apply the storm recovery, AKA the snow trust, to this year's budget, just in light of what we've dealt with this year. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty based on the temperatures of, what we're going to be dealing with between now and April 1st when it comes to snow. We're going to have to make some thoughtful decisions about that. And then with regard to the recycling trust, as you can see, that number is down by about $30,000 from the end of 2024. And we're going to have to be somewhat prudent about how we allocate those funds moving forward. And we apply them to this year's budget plan to be introduced on February 11th.
So I have just some general low-lying questions. If it's, I don't know how we would move it from, the Wellness Festival we haven't had in a while. And we have, like, just adding it all up, you have, what, 16, is it across? $16,000 there. And is there any way we could move some of that more into action? Ditto Project Pride, Cashaw is carrying $40,000. Can we offset operating with any of that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so is there a reason why, like, Cashaw would carry $40,000 in a trust? Is it earmarked for something?
It's not earmarked, but specifically, the reason it goes into the trust is because there's been a limitation put on it, and it's reserved for a specific purpose.
Okay.
So as money went into it, for whatever reason, it was used to pay bills that are associated with it.
Right, like a donation to paint it?
Correct.
Do we know how many earmarks there are for that?
If there were earmarks, we single them out, so
Yeah, I'm
whatever's
gonna,
the cash show is pretty general.
yeah, Cashaw's pretty high, and then Paul from Wellness, there's money, I'm just saying we could use some of that to offset some operating, because those are still two general operatings. I mean, Project Pride, I'll write you about, we could probably move that too. I get it if it's restricted. I'm gonna email you about some of these. I don't know, you guys should look at some of these and see what committees you have, but I'm assuming, Paul, that Wellness Festival is a carryover from when we used to do the thing in the park?
Yeah.
And maybe you could use it to offset some of the operating expenses you had. And ditto, Evan, you can look into your donations, but that's high.
I think that the Wellness Festival, the Wellness Initiative was expanded significantly this year, and some of the things that we wanted to do didn't catch up to where we were. Whereas next year, seeing the growth, we'll be able to better plan for an expanded wellness program, and I think that's a very good point. So we'll be able to use it next year, or at least some portion of it.
And then with the trust, my last question is, am I correct in next year, the Open Space Trust will double effectively? If we don't allocate any of it? So it'll go up to close to 9 next year, right? Because we'll bring in 6 effectively.
Correct.
That's exciting, you guys.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Frank. That's very exciting.
What are FTA fines?
Which one?
What are FTA fines?
Third from the bottom.
Municipal court fines. They're dedicated from DWI.
Look, maybe we'll get some garland for uptown. It's like found.
Any other questions on the trust fund?
No. Everybody good?
So Mayor, our next meeting, again, on the budget is a week from tonight, Monday, February 9th, 5 p.m. start. Heather, if you would, on that agenda, in addition to final capital and the overall tax rate, if we could have a line item on the agenda for revenues and current fund, and you can actually combine that with revenue surplus and current fund. In addition to sifting through the final capital budget recommendations, which again we'll have a better handle on by week end, and then discussing the overall tax rate as we get to introduce the 2026 budget, hopefully on February 11th.
Questions, anybody? Nope. I think we're good. Let's go back to public comment. Dylan, do we have anybody?
We have none.
Seeing no public comment, we'll close public comment and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go.